All right, so you beat the game. You're ready to play some competitive Pokemon. So you go out and do some raids. You find a Ferrothorn that's a 5-star. You pick that bad boy up, and he's got a 31 IV stat in its speed.
Bruh.
Yeah, no thanks. So today we're going to kind of talk about the relevance of breeding in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So this is kind of going to be one big video. Okay, so I'm going to go over the Ditto Den. I'm going to go over the items. I'm going to go over the numbers in terms of the daycare center and some of the things that you can do to make things more efficient for you in terms of breeding. So breeding is still relevant, okay, because there are certain Pokemon that you need to have 0 IVs for or don't need specific IVs, okay? So most competitive Pokemon really only run about 5 perfect IVs because there's always that stat that you don't particularly need. Now, there are some Pokemon that, yes, sure, it may be better to just have a 6 IV Pokemon, whereas it would be probably in your best interest to breed for that 6 IV Pokemon, okay? Also, Pokemon like Ferrothorn or Bronzong, okay, that are naturally slow, you're going to want that 0 IV on its speed stat to make it as slow as it can be to benefit some of its attributes, okay? So you're going to have Ferrothorn with Gyro Ball. Sorry, my screen's going black. You're going to have Ferrothorn with Gyro Ball, okay? You're going to have Bronzong with Trick Room, okay? So each one of those, it's going to benefit how slow that Pokemon is, okay? So running a nature like Relaxed or Sassy with a 0 IV is going to be the best option for you, okay? So let's get into this. There are 3 items you need in order to breed efficiently, and we're going to kind of go through them step by step. The first 2 are items that you can only unlock after you've beaten the game, okay? So you have to beat the game first. I'm sorry I didn't make that rule, but this is how it happens. Okay, so from Circhester, the first item we're going to go over is the Oval Stone, okay, or the Oval Charm. So basically what happens is, okay, so you're going to go to Circhester, you're going to find these 2 hotels. It's the one on the left, right? So basically what the Oval Charm does is when you put Pokemon into the Pokemon Center, you, after 1 in 256 steps, you have a chance of producing an egg, right? So basically what the Oval Charm does is it increases the roll of that chance of finding an egg. So it's going to make things a lot more, time efficient, because sometimes, if you're using bad parents, it can get really, like, sometimes you don't find eggs after like 20 minutes and then you're just like, why? So that's kind of a pain. But this is the guy you want to find. His name is Morimoto. He's got a really creepy smile, but he's cute. Why not? So he actually has kind of a tough team. If you're going to be using story mons and you don't have any competitive mons or any mons from raids, or any side of strategy, he can be kind of difficult. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So it may take you a couple times, but once you beat it, he'll just give it to you. It sits in your key items, and it does all the work for you. You don't have to do anything else. Okay, so that's really, really helpful. And also, you can battle him once per day. So if you got that 100% Gmax Meowth, use that. Build up some money. But yeah, and also, the second item is called the Destiny Knot. Okay, so the Destiny Knot is actually probably the most time-consuming item to get, because of the fact that you need to go to the battle tower to build up some BP. Okay, so BP stands for battle points. So you're going to fly up to Winden back after you beat the champion, okay, and that is the battle tower. So you just walk inside, you talk to the lady at the front desk, you do, a few battles, which I recommend just doing the first 6 so you can unlock the IV checker, okay, so that when you're breeding, you know exactly what IVs are getting. Okay, so after you beat your first 6 battles, your last battle will be against Leon. You'll unlock the IV checker, or it's called the judge function. It's fantastic. It really, really helps you out, especially when you're doing raids. You can just check if the IVs are good after the raid, and then if it's awesome. You put it in a box for competitive or breeding or whatever, and you're good to go. So yeah, that is a definite must if you need to do that. While doing those first 6 battles, you will accrue about 26, or I'm sorry, not 26, 23 battle points. Okay, so after you get those 23 battle points, you're going to fly over here to Hammerlock. And it's actually in the main Pokemon Center. So there's a little NPC inside here that you can go talk to, and she's got some items for sale. And a lot of those items are really, really good. So you should definitely put her to use. When you do this, okay, there's going to be some power items. So the power items are helpful in breeding if you're trying to pass on a specific stat from a Pokemon. Okay, so but they'll only pass on that one specific stat. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, now the item you want though is called the Destiny Knot, which I've already said. So the Destiny Knot, essentially what it does is it has a chance of passing on those IVs from the parents to the offspring. Okay, so it's going to pass on 5 IVs. However, it has a randomized chance on these 6 IVs. So you can actually get a 6 IV Pokemon just on random chance, and it's like, it's so cool because having a 6 IV Pokemon, it's just like, wow, didn't think that could happen. So yeah, so that's really, really cool to have. It's a very, very important item if you're going to get into breeding and breeding competitive Pokemon. Now, if you're going to be breeding shinies, you probably don't even need to do this. You probably don't even need this step. Like if you're just, a shiny hunter, and that's totally cool. But yeah, if you want to do competitive and you want to breed Pokemon, that's definitely an item you need. The third item, okay, is called the Everstone. So the Everstone has been around since Gen 3, and the Everstone is down here in Turffield, okay? So it's in the first gym location. And basically what it does is when you use the Everstone, okay, so you give it to one of your Pokemon, it'll pass down the nature of that Pokemon 100% of the time. So it's very, very helpful. Now, there used to be a controversy that said, oh my gosh, well, the Everstone passes down the ability as well. That's not the case whatsoever. Yeah, I'm sorry. But it doesn't pass down ability. It only passes down nature. Now, and I'll kind of talk about that. But yeah, so you're going to find it right here from the Pokemon Center. Sorry, I kind of like skipped that whole thing. You just run to the right, go down the hill, and it's over here on the left. But it'll be a sparkling item that just sits right here. Now, when it comes to passing down natures, now that we're talking about that, the female has an 80% chance of passing down the standard nature, or not the nature, the ability. We're talking about abilities now, Hunter. So yeah, females have an 80% chance of passing down the ability, okay? And the ability... Right, so the ability can be changed. It depends on like how many abilities that Pokemon has. So if you have a, let's say, I don't know, competitive Gothitelle, right? It's going to have, a percentage of which that is going to be passed down. Okay, so the female has an 80% chance of passing down the standard ability, and then also has a 60% chance of passing down the hidden ability. Okay, so you're not going to get the hidden ability every time, but you'll most likely get the one you're looking for if you keep going for it. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. But you have to have the ability, you have to have the hidden ability on the mother if you want to pass that down. You cannot just have the standard ability on the mother and expect to get the hidden ability. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I wish it did. I wish it did, because that would be so cool. Now, when it comes to breeding Pokeballs, okay, so some people like Pokemon in specific Pokeballs. The male passes down the Pokeball. It's been a thing since like Gen 6, I think. But yeah, so the male is going to pass down the Pokeball, and that's, how that works. So if you find, parents of the same species, get the ability you want, get the Pokeball you want, and breed exactly what you want, nature, all that good stuff. And then you're good. You're good to go. That's probably the best way to do it. Now, there are some stats when it comes to the daycare center. Okay, so when you're dropping off Pokemon, and I'm gonna kind of pop them up over here. Okay, but basically what happens is when you drop off 2 Pokemon in the Pokemon Center, you have a percentage of finding the chance after the 256 steps. I don't know why I keep saying 1 in 256 because it's not an odd, it's 256 steps. I'm okay. But basically what happens is, okay, so if you use the same species but with different trainer ID numbers, you're going to have a 70% chance of producing that egg. Okay, now if you use the same species with the same trainer ID number, you're going to have a 50% chance of producing that egg. So it's going to be very useful, I think, in terms of, having that oval charm, because I feel like asking someone to trade you a Pokemon you already have is kind of pointless, and besides, when you have the oval charm, you're going to get the extra rolls on that chance either way. So you're pretty much going to have eggs coming in like non-stop, because you're going to run down the bridge, you're going to run back, and then she's already going to have a new egg for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to swap out. So that's why the oval charm, I think, is very, very important. Having same species with the same trainer ID, I think, is perfect. I don't think you need to do anything more. Now, as we're talking about different species with different trainer IDs, there are certain things called egg groups. Okay, so when you're breeding something with a different egg group, or if you're breeding a Pokemon, please look up the egg group of that Pokemon to make sure that they can actually breed. Now, a Pokemon famous, right, for breeding shinies, or shinies, and for pretty much breeding everything else, because it's a fantastic Pokemon, is Ditto. Okay, so we're going to talk about breeding shinies now. So when you use something called the Masuda Method, okay, so the Masuda Method came out in Gen 4, and it's pretty much been covered 1,000 times on YouTube, but the Masuda Method, essentially, basically what it does is, when you use a foreign parent, okay, and you use a Pokemon native to your game, you have an increased chance of breeding a shiny. Okay, so you're gonna have a 1 in 682 chance, right, if you're breeding without the shiny charm, and then if you're breeding with the shiny charm, it has a 1 in 512 chance. So it's a crazy difference from 1 in 4,000. And yeah, that is pretty insane. So if you want to breed shinies, getting a Japanese Ditto is probably the best way to do it. Now, you don't have to find someone in Japan to trade you a Ditto. It doesn't work that way. It's actually language based. That's how the game reads it. So like last night, I stayed up till 3 a.m. with some of my viewers, and we grinded out Dittos because one of my viewers finished a Japanese copy. So we just sat there and harvested Dittos, and it was great. And I'm going to tell you where to find Ditto, where to find the Ditto raid here in a bit. But so Ditto is the perfect breeding specimen. Okay. Now, in order to hatch these eggs, black screen. Now, in order to hatch these eggs efficiently, there are abilities in the overworld. Okay, there are Pokemon that have abilities that work in the overworld called Flame Body and Magma Armor. Okay, so essentially what they'll do is they'll have the egg steps. Okay, so every Pokemon has an egg step, and that's the amount of steps required to hatch that egg. You probably picked that up. So basically, you have to have the Pokemon in the front of your party. Okay, you can't stack this ability, unfortunately, but you can have one in the beginning of your party, and let's say your egg step is 100. The egg step counter will then go down to 50. Okay, so you'll hatch those eggs, in half the time, and it makes things so much more efficiently. So that's really cool. Now, going back to egg moves, this is a new feature with Sword and Shield. In order to pass on an egg move, right? Egg moves are specific moves that come from breeding the Pokemon you want with a different Pokemon. Okay, and then it gives it a move essentially not in its original move pool. Now, in order to just pass it to a Pokemon that you already have, let's say like a G-Max Pokemon, you take the G-Max Pokemon and the Pokemon with the egg move, okay, or the Charizard with the egg move, and you just give them to the daycare lady, okay, and then boom, voila. Now your G-Max Charizard has that, egg move. Now, in order to do that properly, I recommend going to delete a move off of the Gmax Charizard, okay, that you don't want, so that something else doesn't get deleted, okay? So that egg move will just fill in that empty spot. So yeah, it's a perfect way of doing it. Very, very easy. Very great feature that, you know, they put in. It's a big improvement of life. So yeah, so that's that. Next, we're going to talk about Ditto. So Ditto is actually very, very important, and I was going to make a separate video on this, but because they're all encompassing, I don't really want to be that person that, you know, has to make... Yeah, I just don't want to be that person. Okay, so in the wild area, okay, there's a den that has a rare spawn of spawning Ditto. Okay, now after you beat the game, it'll most likely be 5 stars every time. So it's great because when you do 5 stars, you potentially have a 6 IV Pokemon. So that's really, really cool. So in the wild area, you're going to fly over here to Bridge Field. Okay, it's right here. And that's actually where you find the second daycare center. Okay, so if you don't know where that is, the second daycare center in the wild area, that's where you'll find it. And from there, okay, so the daycare center is right here. You're just going to hop on your bike. Boom. You're going to come over here, go through these trees, right? And it's going to be this den right here. Okay, so this den spawns all normal types. But the rare spawn for this is actually Ditto. Okay, so the Ditto spawns from the purplish beam of light, and it happens about every it's like a 1 in 8th chance or something like that. So it's actually pretty common. But once you find it, okay, there's an easy way to breed it, especially if you have a friend that has a Japanese copy that's willing to sit there and grind out some Japanese Dittos with you. Unfortunately, when you throw the wishing piece in, okay, the nature and the stats and the ability and the shiny is all determined when you throw in that wishing piece. You can't just save before you start the raid and then try to get another nature that you want. You just kind of have to keep harvesting all of these Dittos, and that's basically how that happens. So yeah, so that's how that works. This is the spawn in particular. I'll have some pictures that kind of like pop up, you know, as proof. That spawns Ditto, and yeah, those Ditto are very, very good for breeding. Most of them, if you've beaten the game, have a 5 to 6 IV stat. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like, that's the kind of basis of breeding in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. I know it's kind of a lot to take in, especially if you're new to breeding, but trust me, it gets a lot easier. It starts to become like second nature. Like, you know, you're gonna be okay. Besides, I'm here, and there's plenty of other resources on the internet for you to check out. I'm gonna have all the resources that I've used for this video in the in the description below. Okay, so if you want to check any of those out, you totally can. Also, you know, if you have a question, just comment. And we also stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, so if you want to, you know, come hang out and do some max raid battles, talk about, you know, shinies, whatever you want to do, just come hang out. That's totally cool. But anyways, guys, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Oh yeah, sorry, it's 4 p.m. CST. That's when we stream on Twitch. Anyways, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. Okay, bye.